What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about a new way to make falernum, an approach that's a little bit more commercial or professional compared to the other homemade versions that you can find, but that doesn't mean more complicated. In fact, it's as simple, maybe even faster and easier to make. And the best part is, it is a shelf-stable falernum. And with the holiday season coming up, the fact that it's that easy to make and incredibly delicious, I think it can also make for a great gift. So without further ado, if you guys are ready, let's go make some falernum. Let's go. Alright, so falernum is definitely a staple of the tiki drink culture, but it predates that era by quite a lot. It was already around in the early 1800s, if not before that. It originated in the Barbados and it was a homemade concoction made out of rum, lime, spices, and sometimes also with some almond. It was meant to be drank before dinner to open up your appetite, and because they were homemade concoctions, no falernum were the same. Everyone had its own recipe. And that's the beauty of it on one side, but it can also be a drawback on the other side, because if I'm telling you to make this cocktail with that amount of this falernum and use another one instead, chances are you're gonna make something completely different, because the ABV can be different, the sugar content can be different as well, even the ingredients can be different. So it makes it a little bit difficult to standardize cocktails with falernum unless I'm telling you to use a specific brand. And it's with that in mind that I created my own recipe, something that would be close to my favorite brand and also easily standardized from batch to batch. So ladies and gents, let me introduce you to my homemade inspired John D. Taylor Velvet Falernum. The Velvet Falernum is the oldest commercial style falernum you can still buy nowadays. It has a very low ABV at 11%, some subtle spice notes, and a little bit of that tangy lime acidity that we want and need in a falernum. But it is very smooth and mellow compared to its homemade cousin, because homemade falernums are usually made out of blended ginger, almond, and spices in a rum syrup. So the result is something that's usually very bold in flavor, but also something that's dark, cloudy, and muddy, which is not my favorite attribute when we look at homemade falernums. Because while they are really nice in tiki style drinks, they also work really nicely in stir down cocktails, and for me, a muddy, cloudy stir down drink is just not appealing at all, so I don't usually like that. I also don't believe that falernum should always take the front stage when we use it, but we need to taste it, we need to feel it, and sometimes the John D. Taylor is just a little bit too weak. So when I created my falernum recipe, I wanted something that was bold in flavor but not overpowering, something that would have that lime acidity but still something shelf stable, something that was clear enough so we can still use it in stir down drinks, and also something with a little more proof and body so it's gonna stand out better in cocktails. So first we're gonna need to make 4 essences: ginger, almond, lime, and clove. Essences are basically made simply by blending high-proof spirit with essential oils in order to make the essential oils water soluble so you can use them after to flavor some beverages. They are super simple to make, shelf-stable, and also quite cheap. For example, for about $5 worth of essential oil, I'm gonna need about $2 worth of high-proof spirit to dissolve that, and that's gonna give me, depending on the recipe, enough essence to make about 100 liters of liquor. Of course, you can make smaller batches of the essences today if you don't want to have as much left over, but for me, it's not a problem because they last forever, and I think it's really handy to have some around when I want to make other projects. So I'm going to show you how to make this, and if you are familiar with making essences at home, you will probably notice that my ratios are a little bit unconventional. That's because some oils are harder to dissolve than others, and when they are, you usually need a second step. In order to keep it as simple as possible today with only 1 step and 2 ingredients, I found out that those ratios just work really nicely with all the different oils I'm using today. So now, for the essence, all you're gonna need is to add 3.8 grams of essential oil and add to that 75 grams of 95% alcohol. Next, I'm gonna stir the combined for about 5 minutes using my magnetic stirrer. This is just an easy way to make sure both ingredients are perfectly incorporated. If you don't have that gadget, don't worry, just use your bar spoon to mix, and when you see that the oils are well incorporated, that should be enough. Then once you're done, you simply bottle it up, label it, and there have it, as simple as that. This is how we make some essences. Now, quick disclaimer about the almond essence I made today. It can be very confusing when it comes to almond flavoring because there's already a lot of options available on the market, but it's not always clear what they really are. You can buy some essences, some extracts, and some aromas, but when you look at the labels, oftentimes they don't even specify truly what's in the bottle. And it happened to me once to buy something that was labeled as an extract that turned out to be an aroma. So to avoid confusion as much as possible, I decided to go with what I believe is the most consistent, even though it may not be the most natural way to add almond flavor. And I said aroma. And to make it, you follow the exact same recipe. So now that we're done with the essences, we can move on to the final step, the flavoring. So first in a beaker, we're gonna add 350 ml of light white rum, and then we're gonna add the essences in the rum alone before adding the syrup. I recommend measuring the essences with a small insulin syringe like this because we're gonna need a very small amount, and this thing is very precise. So if you are interested, I'm gonna link them in the description below. So we're gonna start with the ginger essence, and we're gonna add 1.5 ml of it, 0.6 ml of the almond essence, another 0.6 ml of lime essence, and 0.4 ml of clove essence. Next, we're gonna add 0.3 grams of malic acid and mix to incorporate. Once again, I like to use my magnetic stirrer and leave it running for about 5 to 10 minutes. After that, we're gonna add 420 ml of simple syrup, a 1-to-1 ratio by weight simple syrup, mix to combine, and finally 35 ml of water to reach the exact Brix and ABV that I want. Lastly, all you have to do is to bottle this up, and this is how I make my commercial style Falernum. On the nose, we pick up all 4 ingredients, but for me, the ginger and almond are the dominant ones. We don't have a perfectly clear liquid, and that's probably due to the ginger essence that was a little bit harder to dissolve, but it is stable nonetheless. You're not gonna have any separation over time. Now let's give it a try. The first thing that hits your tongue is the spiciness from the ginger, and then right away you get that nice brightness from the lime flavor and a little bit of a tangy acidity because of the malic acid. So you really have the feeling you added real lime juice in there, but we didn't, so that makes it perfectly shelf stable. And then in the back palate, you get that beautiful kick of spices with the clove and the long finish of almond. I think it is really nicely balanced in terms of intensity. I really like it. But now the real question is how it's gonna work in a cocktail, so let's give it a try in a Royal Bermuda Yacht Club Daiquiri. So we're gonna go ahead and add in a shaker 2 ounces of light white rum, half an ounce of our Falernum, 1/4 ounce of Creole shrub or your favorite orange liqueur, 3/4 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice, and a bar spoon of rich cane syrup. Then we're gonna add ice and shake 10 to 15 seconds, and fine strain in a cocktail coupe. And there you have it, the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club Daiquiri. Cheers. I picked this cocktail to test my Falernum with an idea in mind, you know? In the cocktail, the base spirit is the same that we used in the Falernum. In the drink, we have an extra layer of flavor with the orange liqueur, and we also have some juice. So if the Falernum is too weak, it can completely vanish with all those flavors. But on the other hand, if it's too strong, it can easily overpower the orange liqueur that's used in a small amount. But here, the drink is perfectly balanced. We get everything, all the notes from the Falernum flavor profile. We also get the hint of orange with the orange liqueur. The sweet and sour is also perfectly balanced. So for me, that means that the Falernum is spot on. So my friends, this is it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and let me know in the comments below if you would like me to try the Falernum in a Falernum cocktail compilation soon on the channel. So my friends, once again, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and see you very soon. Cheers.